And welcome back. Now, a global review of legislation related to whistleblowing last week by the Independent Bar Association shows that South Africa's Disclosure Act 26 of 2000, which was amended in 2017, falls short at providing meaningful protection to whistleblowers. Now, following last weekend's alleged attempt on the life of a witness of the Commission of Inquiry into allegations of state capture, Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo appealed to the country's law enforcement agencies to look at the legislation and also act speedily in protecting whistleblowers. Our guest this morning is ANC member Thabiso Zulu, whose story goes back to 2016 when he received information from the former ANC Youth League leader Sindiso Magaqa. Now, Magaqa was working as a public representative councilor at Umzimkhulu Municipality, and he revealed corruption related to the Umzimkhulu Memorial Hall tender, and he was then consequently assassinated in 2017. Thabiso Zulu joins us via telephone as a whistleblower, and we'll talk to him about his story. And we are also joined this morning by the CEO of the South African Human Rights Commission, Advocate Tseliso Thipanyane, to discuss all of this. Advocate, Mr. Zulu, thanks so much to both of you for joining us.
Good morning to you and to Mr. Zulu and your viewers.
So let me start with Mr. Zulu in terms of just your story very briefly, Mr. Zulu, and just looking at where your story began with the Sindiso Magaqa case and also subsequent attempt on your life.
Thank you, Sakina, and good morning to the viewers and everyone else. Look, my story, as it has been told so many times, is that I was already exposing corruption. And in 2016, the late friend and my late comrade Sindiso Magaqa handed over documents to me, as you have said, related to Umzimkhulu Memorial Hall. Then I forwarded that information to different law enforcement agencies and to National Treasury, SARS, Hawks, and many others, SIU included. Then, as we are aware, he was later assassinated. Then I spoke at his memorial service before his funeral. And I told the nation and everyone that he had been killed because he had exposed this corruption. And I had a way of proving why we were saying that. Then we assisted the police to arrest those who were implicated in his murder. But my own life completely changed from then. I was under direct surveillance. This was proved by a state security agency report. I was monitored by unknown people, suspicious people were visiting my home or other places where I used to hide. And I moved around a lot. Then, as you know it, fate will have it, on the 26th of October, I survived an assassination, then taken to hospital by friends, then later went into hiding. Thereafter, I approached the Human Rights Commission, which was a second attempt of reaching out to Human Rights Commission because I had tried in 2018. Then in 2020 again, in 2019 again, in November 11, I reached out to Human Rights Commission. Then they tried to work on my matter, but not as fast as I would have expected. And they also admitted that they didn't move with enough speed. Then we went to court. Then at court in March, then the decision was that I must go to witness protection, which I found to be very uncomforting, and even that witness protection program is very problematic.
What about it was problematic?
Many things. Like, the first fight was about when I got there, they refused to hand over the documents that I had signed. That was the first point of disagreement. How can I sign documents and I can't be given those documents? So in future, whoever can use those documents, and I can't say anything about them because I don't have them. But the second one was the issue. They wanted to take me to the south, which the south of this province is Lower South Coast, right, which is Potchefstroom. Potchefstroom is few kilometers away from Umzimkhulu. So they were taking me to the lion's den if you see into it. Then the other thing, when I got on the way, I saw that the car that we were using, I was with one person who is called a protector. When we were going there, the car was not having tinted windows. The guy was driving and he was expected to shield, protect me in case we were to come under fire. When we got into the place where I was taken, I saw that the place, I asked him where he stays. He told me that he stays 3 hours away from where I was. So it means if I were to come under attack at night or any time, he was not going to assist me. I was not given the cell phone that they normally provide to people that are in witness protection, a small phone that they use. And a couple of other things, like in a way, you see that the program was not designed for people like myself. I will walk on my own, go to shops and everywhere. Then the thing is, everyone had seen me in this province. Everyone had seen me in this country. So if you take me, you say you are taking me to witness protection and you are putting me in the very same province, you are putting me in areas where I'm known. I don't think that you don't even try to find a way of disguising me, right? Having a way of saying this is how we are supposed to wear, this is how we are going to look as going forward. The other thing, they exposed my name, right, to the person who was whom they rented that BNB from. They exposed my name. We agreed that we're going to use another name. But when he called, the protector, when he called, because I didn't have a phone, when he wanted to talk to me, he called the BNB owner, and he said he wanted to talk to Mr. Zulu. And the BNB owner had put a phone on a speaker, and this guy was talking to me, referring to me as Mr. Zulu. And it was like, I'm stupid now. I have told this guy that I'm a certain surname, and here now, this guy is referring to me as Mr. Zulu. There were a lot of things that I was uncomfortable with.
Advocate Thipanyane, to bring you in, as a country having come so far and among the first countries to adopt legislation on whistleblowing, how have our institutions, including your own institution, the Human Rights Commission, ensured that the laws are effective in protecting people that assist the government to fight wrongdoing?
Thank you, Sakina. I must say, whilst we have laws and policies and institutions to try and protect whistleblowers through the Protected Disclosure Act and also the Whistleblowers Act, we do need to acknowledge that our country, our laws, and our institutions have failed people like Mr. Zulu. And that's why corruption continues to be rampant in our country, and we see lots of people being assassinated. We did take the Mr. Zulu's case to court, and as is explained, and that's where we are today. And certainly, we as a commission realize that the laws are still inadequate to protect people like Mr. Zulu, and we are certainly looking to this thing. So on the 29th of this month, the Human Rights Commission will actually be hosting a conference on corruption and human rights, and also try and look at how better can we protect people like Mr. Zulu, but also better fight corruption. We'll also engage Mr. Zulu. We're also in the commission looking to how we can actually challenge some of the inadequacies in the existing legal framework, which can then better protect Mr. Zulu. Because as we see now, because of these gaps and weaknesses in our laws institutions, people like Mr. Zulu still continue to be victimized while they're still trying to fight for the truth and fight for democracy. So it is really unfortunate, but we'll keep on trying and do our best. But certainly we have failed Mr. Zulu and his family.
Let's just flesh that out a little bit, Advocate Thipanyane, because we did invite the Department of Justice. They unfortunately are unable to join us, but they say they are studying the current act. But from a human rights perspective, what's your comment on the act in its current form?
Well, there are two acts. The one is the Protected Disclosures Act, which basically protects people who are whistleblowers at work within government, within institutions. But again, the fact that we still have these high levels of corruption, it means clearly that if you try and be a whistleblower within a working environment, you are still not protected, and that's why people are not coming forward. Now, in the case of Mr. Zulu, you have the Whistleblowers Act, which protects people who are now, being threatened due to, being whistleblowers outside the workplace. And that's where there are also gaps there, because as Mr. Zulu has pointed out, if you are a human rights defender, you become a whistleblower like Mr. Zulu, then you'll be put in a place far away from everybody else with no cell phones, nothing. Whereas VIPs continue to live in their homes, in their comfort, whilst being protected. So that is the gap in the law. That's why we as a commission took the president of this country, the Minister of Justice, and the Minister of Police on this case, and we won. Unfortunately, the results are, as Mr. Zulu said, it was a whole victory, in the sense that we managed to get him to get protection, but that protection was really not up to scratch at all. That's what we need to look into to see whether is the Whistleblowers Act adequate to protect people like Mr. Zulu, and clearly there are gaps in there.
Yes, and that is clearly evident. But then, listening to Mr. Zulu, he says that he feels that he's been let down. The institutions in this country that are meant to keep him safe have failed him. So what exactly is the role then of the South African Human Rights Commission in enforcing the protection of whistleblowers as legislated?
Well, we have taken the decision that we will need to look at this Whistleblowers Act and see exactly how we can push for its amendment accordingly. And that's why we went to court on Mr. Zulu's case. And that's why we're having this conference at the end of this month to again look at corruption and human rights. And that's why we've taken a decision as a commission that the issue of corruption and human rights will be one of our key strategic objectives going forward for the next 4 years as a commission, because we're really concerned about the impact of corruption on human rights, but also the challenges which whistleblowers face, like Mr. Zulu. And we need people like Mr. Zulu to help us, turn the tide around this issue of corruption and human rights.
And that is such a jarring statement, Advocate Thipanyane, because if I can just bring Mr. Zulu back, how does it make you feel when you hear Advocate Thipanyane say that we need people like Mr. Zulu, when we have literally had a front row seat to watching you, Mr. Thabiso Zulu, literally, running for your life?
Look, Sakina, the CEO tried, right? I'm not buying his face. He tried. If we were to tell you all the obstacles that we faced when we were trying to deal with my matter, I feel for him, and I even understand that at one stage it was like he was alone. But having said that, those words are not assisting in any way, because they are mere words, although he tried, as I said. There are a lot of other people whom you will expect that they will put words into action. For an example, the CEO knows that one of the things that we agreed upon with him was that we are going to ask for a direct access to the Constitutional Court, right, to test the constitutionality of dealing with the matter that the police are supposed to protect the civilians, right? Because it's very clear in the Constitution. But when we went to court, the police were moving the whole thing to Department of Justice, saying, I'm not their case. Then the Department of Justice was moving everything back to the police, saying, I'm not their case. So there is that gap that I had expected that by now we will be at the Constitutional Court, so as to clarify that gap, because I'm no longer doing this for myself. I'm doing this for other whistleblowers who are going through the same situation, but who don't have lucky like myself to have media attention and getting their stories told. I'm doing this for future whistleblowers who are still going to be subjected to what I'm subjected to, or worse, as some of them are getting killed every day, and their stories are not told.
Advocate Thipanyane, final word on this matter. What should we do moving forward?
Well, we as a commission will continue soldiering on, and we hope at some point in time there will be a major change which will benefit people like Mr. Zulu. And once more, we really want to apologize as a country to the plight he's experienced in trying to fight for democracy.
Well, thanks so much to both Advocate Tseliso Thipanyane, who is the Human Rights Commission CEO, and talking to us there about the role the state has played or should play in protecting whistleblowers as legislated, and also Thabiso Zulu, who's a whistleblower who has survived an assassination attempt. That's unfortunately where we have to leave it for today, Leanne.